Learning to code may seem like a daunting task for anyone at any age, but I'm here to tell you that it's not impossible. And with so many bootcamps surfacing nowadays, there's never been a better time to learn to program. In this video, I'm going to share with you what to look for when picking a bootcamp, what my daily life as a bootcamp student looked like, tips and tricks for how to manage your time in bootcamp for maximum success, and mistakes that I made so you don't have to. Hey, it's Lo, and welcome back to the channel. This was my experience. Let's get right into it. Before we get started, I just wanted to say this is my own personal experience, and the strategies that I use may or may not resonate with you, so take what I have to say with a grain of salt and treat this as a guideline and not the holy grail. Okay, with that out of the way, let me first say this. Congratulations on considering the idea of going to a coding bootcamp. You guys are in for a wild ride, and I'm super excited to be part of this journey to reinventing yourself. I was in a similar position as you back in April of 2021 when I made the decision to reinvent myself and change my life forever. Alright, let's get right down to business. What should you be looking for when considering a bootcamp to go to? Here are 5 things to consider that you may or may not have thought about before. Price, course material, duration, job placement assistance, and commitment level. Let's talk money for a minute. Bootcamps are not cheap. They will still cost you a few grand, but they're still cheaper than going the traditional bachelor degree route, and many bootcamps actually offer scholarships and even payment plans. So keep your eyes peeled and see what kind of deals are going on. Maybe see if you can connect with an alumni, as they might be able to get you a referral code or a discount code. Course material. Most bootcamps teach similar material, but you're going to want to make sure that whatever you're learning is relevant to what is being asked for in the workforce. The easiest way to find this out is to do a simple job search for software developer or software engineer on any job search platform, and then just scroll through and see what people are hiring for. This will give you a good guideline for what you should be studying in order to be competitive in the workforce after you graduate. Find out if the bootcamps offer any free brochures or course catalogs, as this will give you a good feel for what the structure of their classes look like and what to expect to learn from them while you're there. Also consider scheduling a meeting with someone from their admissions team, as this is a great way for you to not only get your questions answered, but also to get a feel for what the atmosphere at that school is like and if you could see yourself going there long term. Duration. Find out how long the bootcamp is and what different tracks they offer. Bootcamps can range anywhere from 14 to 40 weeks depending on the company and whether you choose to do a full-time or a part-time option. If you're planning on learning multiple languages, consider also finding out how long you're going to be spending in each language. This will give you a good sense of what the pacing will be like and how much effort you're going to need to put in outside of class to study. Something else to consider that's not really related to duration but just as important is whether the classes are going to be synchronous or asynchronous. Asynchronous is often more convenient for busy people, but I highly suggest looking for a camp that offers synchronous education, or at the very least a combination of the two. Job placement assistance. Make sure you don't overlook this. A good bootcamp will offer their students some form of career services, but not all are created equal, so make sure you do your research. Find out what sort of services they offer, how long you're able to utilize those services for, and what percentage of students go on to graduate from the program and actually work in tech. This metric isn't as important to keep in your research arsenal, as most places are going to sell themselves high, but it's still something to take a look at when you're trying to weigh your options. Commitment level. This is something you're going to have to ask your guys self and evaluate at a personal level. Think about not only how much time you need to allocate to attending lectures and office hours, but how much time you're going to need to be spending outside of class to work on assignments and readings. Learning a new skill takes a lot of time with lots of repetition, so treat this as if you were taking any other class in a traditional academic setting. Make sure to estimate high, as learning to code can have a steep learning curve, so you're going to want to give yourself adequate time to learn and absorb the information. Now that you've selected a bootcamp, you might be wondering, what is your life going to look like for the next few weeks or months? This is going to vary on a case-by-case basis, depending on your circumstances at the time of enrollment, but typically if you're deciding to do an online bootcamp, you're going to have a few hours of structured lecture time a week where you and your cohort mates meet with your instructor either in person or online, and the rest of the time is going to be left for you to do whatever it is you need to do to get things done. This could be working on assignments, brushing up on readings, working on career development, etc., and so forth. You will have more structure and accountability than you would if you were to go the completely solo route and learn on your own, but you won't have as much structure as if you were going to an in-person bootcamp where everything is laid out for you and you basically just have to show up. Most places offer both a full-time and a part-time option, with the full-time bootcamps being typically around 14 weeks with the option to be either in-person or online. These courses are super intensive, and it is not unheard of to hear students needing to dedicate 70+ hours a week to self-study alone. Part-time bootcamps can be anywhere from 18 to 40 weeks depending on how many languages you learn, and are typically offered offered online, but you might be able to find an option in person, so keep your eyes peeled if that's something you're interested in. I personally did a part-time accelerated online course where I learned 3 different languages and finished in about 7 months. I started out working full-time while going to boot camp, but was fortunate enough to be able to take a break and work on my schoolwork, so this was a great thing for me, but I know it's not feasible for everyone, so here are some tips on how to maximize your success in boot camp if you're planning on working full-time. 1. Communicate your intent to those around you. This is important because you need to have a good support system behind you in order to be successful in something this life-changing. Don't be afraid to confide in those who bring your spirits up and want to see you succeed in life. Let them know what your goals for the future are and ask them if they are willing to be with you as you take this next step in your journey. If you can, be specific about what your needs are. You know better than anyone what you need to be successful, so let it be known and speak it into existence. Let those in your support system know how they can best support you during this time of change, and it will make the hugest difference in your journey, trust me, you guys. 2. Set aside time before boot camp starts to really make a plan for yourself. I know this might seem like a lot of work, but hear me out. This isn't traditional school and I get it, but you should be treating it like it is. Get a study plan together, especially if you plan on working full-time. There are a limited number of hours in a day and you want to be able to maximize every minute of every hour. I can't tell you what strategies will work best for you, as everyone is different and different strategies work better for different people, but I can share with you 2 strategies that helped me, and they are time blocking and the Pomodoro method. If you're asking yourself, what is the Pomodoro method? That's a great question. Traditionally, this is where you take a length of time and break it into 2 periods, focus and study. Some common intervals for this are the 25-10, where you study for 25 minutes followed by a 5-minute break, and other intervals could be the 45-15 and the 50-10. These are not set in stone, so feel free to change them up depending on what works best for you. I would recommend though that you do these periods in 4 cycles, which equates to about an hour of studying. Personally, I try and use a combination of the Pomodoro method and time blocking, and it looks a little something like this. I would pick a time to study, let's say between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m., and then within that 4-hour time span, I would use the Pomodoro method to break that larger span into smaller chunks to make more manageable sprints. This really helped me a lot in not getting distracted, as I had intentional breaks scheduled into my study time, allowing me to look forward to my breaks and use my study time more efficiently. 3. Utilize settings on your device such as do not disturb and focus modes. If you're an iPhone user, you can actually utilize the built-in focus modes that helps keep you focused and minimize distractions by limiting notifications, allowing you to maximize your study time and again get the most done in the shortest amount of time. If you don't have an iPhone, that's okay. Most modern phones have some form of do not disturb or focus modes built into their ecosystem, but if your phone doesn't have this feature, you can check out apps like this one. Flora is a focus app that uses the Pomodoro method to grow a virtual tree on your phone, and if you exit the app or kill the timer before the focus period is up, you actually end up killing your tree, and that's a huge bummer because nobody wants to be a tree killer. The app has a very minimalistic, relaxing vibe to it, so it's great for people who are visually oriented, as they can see the fruits of their labor in a more tangible form. 4. Remind yourself what your bigger goal is. Remember to remind yourself why you're doing all this. Learning to program is often going to be very frustrating, and you're going to wonder why you're putting yourself through all this stress. It's in these moments that you have to remind yourself what your personal unique why is. I would encourage you to try and make your why more than just about money. Money can be a huge contributor to wanting to learn to program, but I believe that you need to have a deeper reason for wanting to change your life that extends beyond materialistic means, and that this is a necessity to not being only successful in bootcamp but afterwards too. I'm not saying money isn't a huge motivator, because it is. What I'm saying is to try and change your frame of mind around it. Instead of your goal being to make X amount of money a year, try and make it more about being financially free and secure, or being able to provide for those you care about and experiencing life to its fullest. So what did a typical day as a bootcamp student look like for me? Well, most mornings I would wake up and take some time to give myself a little TLC. This could include making myself a nice nutritional breakfast, catching up on social media, taking my dogs for walks, and just getting in the right mindset to have a productive day. My bootcamp ran on Pacific Standard Time, so it was actually very rare for me to be able to get any sort of help from anyone until about late afternoon, as I was in Central Standard Time. Making sure to take care of myself and my well-being was super important as learning the material at hand, so make sure you guys don't forget to take care of you. Now, I'm not saying I spent all mornings lounging around and doing nothing. I would still work on assignments and study the readings, but I would also take time to do things for myself that brought me happiness and made me whole, so I didn't experience burnout and frustration. Afternoons were typically spent on assignments and researching topics that I might have questions on, and chasing down bugs in my code, which usually led to more research. In the evenings, I would attend lectures and often go to the optional office hours held before class, even if I didn't have questions to ask, just to see what my fellow students were working on and see what they were struggling with to get more insight on the material we were learning from whoever was running the office hours. Office hours is a great way to learn bonus material that may or may not be covered in the actual lecture, and to get to know your cohort mates a little better, and I'll get into why this is super important later in this video. After class, it would be about 9 p.m. for me, and at that point I would spend a little little more time working on assignments while the lecture was still fresh in my mind, but would always try and get to bed before midnight, as it's super important to get a good amount of sleep so you feel refreshed and ready to go in the morning for another day of study. Some days my schedule looked a little different depending on how many assignments I had due, how hard the topics were, and if I was struggling to fix any particular bug in my code. Generally though, I would try and stick to a fairly regular schedule, as I felt it was the most effective way for me to be efficient and productive. My experience at bootcamp was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I absolutely have no regrets of how things went down, but if I could do things over again, here are 4 things that I would have done differently. 1. Get a tutor sooner. I started utilizing a tutor about a quarter of the way through my bootcamp, and if I had any advice for people just starting out, I would definitely recommend getting a tutor from the start. Not only did I get access to much needed help outside of class, I also gained valuable knowledge from having the information taught to me in a different way by a different person. A great place to find tutors, and the platform I personally used is called Wyzen, and I will link them down below in the description in case you're interested in checking them out. Wyzen offers a variety of different tutors from all over the country at varying different price points, so there's actually something for everyone. They teach just about any language you can think of, and it's free to sign up, so go check them out if you're interested. I honestly can't stress enough how helpful it was to have a tutor as part of my own success team. 2. Start learning and practicing algorithms and data structures early. Algorithms and data structures are super important to know when you're looking for a job after graduation, as many companies still require their applicants to go through some form of technical interview where they get a feel for what your programming abilities are like and how you problem solve. My experience with algorithms and data structures was a bit lackluster, and I definitely paid for it when I was job searching. The sooner you put in the reps, the less scary and easier it is going to be to prepare for technical interviews. So trust me, this is the #1 thing that I would have done differently. 3. Start networking on LinkedIn right away. This again is something that I started doing near the end of my bootcamp, but I wish I would have done it sooner. Networking is not only a great way to find mentors and friends, but it's a way to find potential job leads. You never know who might be able to help you out down the road and what conversations will lead to open doors. So if you haven't already done so, I highly suggest creating a LinkedIn profile and starting to connect with others before your bootcamp even starts. A great way to start this out is to actually find alumni or other people attending the bootcamp that you have chosen to go to and hit them up by hitting that connect button. My personal experience is that most people were quite happy to connect and share their wisdom with me on my journey to becoming a tech guru, so don't be a stranger and go ahead and connect. Remember how I said I'd get back to why it's important to get to know your classmates? Well, here's reason. Tip number 4, don't be afraid to make friends with your instructors and cohort mates. This not only will help you feel more comfortable and feel more involved in your class community, it's a great way to practice networking without having to talk to random people. Remember, everyone is there for a similar reason as you, so try and get to know them and their unique story. Again, you never know who might become an asset to you in the future, so be sure to interact with your cohort mates and get to know your instructors. It not only makes your time in class more fun, but it can lead to potential job leads down the line. Now, as I said in the beginning of this video, this is just my personal journey, and I know plenty of others who had it better off and worse than me. Whatever your journey looks like, just know that your story is unique and the struggles and triumphs that you face are worth sharing. I hope you guys found my experience helpful in furthering your journey to learning programming. And to find out what bootcamp I ended up going to and how I went from 0 to hero in just about a year, check out this video over here and be sure to share this video with your friends, your family, maybe the guy sitting next to you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Stay positive and I'll catch you later. Bye.